I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times. I want to try a little experiment to see how hip and in the know we are about pop culture these days. Here's why. As of this recording, my birthday is coming up, and I tried this test, in quotes, the other day that I totally made up.
Okay.
It was to get a gauge on how old I am or I feel. And here's the test I did, legit. I looked up the most recent TMZ entertainment news headlines to see if I even knew what the hell they were talking about.
That's okay. That's a good test.
And
Yeah.
I want to try this test on you, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
On you too.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So here's the thing. I pulled these headlines just this morning, a few hours ago, and here are 4 recent TMZ headlines, and you tell me if you know what this story is about. Okay?
Okay. That's yeah. All right, let's do it.
Headline number 1.
Okay.
Possible Celeste sighting at late August concert closes window on death timeline.
So I've been following this one.
What the hell is it? I don't know what that
Really?
means.
I have no idea who is Celeste.
So I guess I just have to say allegedly because I guess that protects me.
Okay.
But there's a singer who his Tesla was impounded and they found a body in it while he was on tour.
What? Okay.
And Natasha, I'm shocked you don't know about this. And it turns out that they had been dating since he was like 20 and she was 13, but it was a secret. And like the timelines are, well, he was on tour, but now the timeline is, well, no, he could have done it. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a lot, but I actually have been following that one because it's crazy.
Okay. Score 1 for Zach. He knows.
Score 1 for Zach. Yeah. I let me just say I am not completely out of it because I did see a headline about a body found in a Tesla and that it was some kind of a celebrity, and that's all. I didn't actually even read the article. I just passed by and I was like, oh, okay. So I had some exposure, but yeah, Zach seems to be on it.
Well, okay, here's headline number 2. Good job, Zach. Travis and Jason Kelsey fanboy out over podcast guest. We love you, Leo and Benicio. Do you know what that story's about?
Oh, well, I mean, I know that they have a podcast. I know who they are, Travis and...
Oh, wait, they both have a podcast together?
Is it? Or is it... do they do it together? Okay. I didn't know if it was like just one of theirs and then the other one like comes on once in a while. But
I'm pretty sure it's both of them together.
Okay. But the guess, I'm not sure who that is. Leo Benicio?
Leo and Benicio.
Well, I'm assuming Leonardo DiCaprio and Benicio.
Correct.
Oh.
That would be my guess.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
there's
yes,
that
sort of know. Yeah. There's a movie. Yeah, I did have seen the trailer for that.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
I will see that. I hear it's a fantastic movie. I can't remember the name right now, but okay. Well, we did okay on that one.
Yeah.
Headline number 3.
Okay.
Cardi B, I ain't no industry plant. Nicki Minaj beef is personal.
Well, I mean, I don't know about their beef, but I know who they are. So Cardi B and Nicki Minaj are having a beef.
What's this
apparently.
industry plant thing?
I don't know what that is.
Zach?
Industry plant is a term for like an artist that is framed as being organic, but has basically been like bred to be successful. Think of it as a cousin to a Nepo baby.
Okay. Can I tell you something, Natasha?
Yes.
We're out of it. Zach knows all this crap.
He sure does. Yeah. Well,
okay.
But if we could just go back to the headlines from 2007, I would probably know everything.
But this was my point of this exercise.
That's the point. Yeah. Well,
here's the last headline. All right. Let's see if Zach knows what this is. Okay. This is a true headline from this morning. Jordan Hudson snake-themed entertainment project in the works.
So Jordan Hudson
Jesus, he knows
he knows everything. I didn't know he was that into pop culture.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, please explain.
Actually, two of the 4 were football related. Jordan Hudson is the 24, I think, year-old girlfriend of Bill Belichick, who's 72 or 73. And
I didn't know that. I mean,
that one. Name. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I know who you mean now. I didn't recognize the names. No, that is, I've seen that. Okay. That's just, sorry, it's kind of disgusting. But
all right. So
yeah, I do know who they are.
Honestly, we just saw the generation gap play out in real time, everybody. Zach, way to go.
Oh, that is not a congratulations. I
Well,
hate myself right now.
it shows you're
Oh.
just a bit more plugged in. I know I'm more, what is it? It's not isolated, but I just pay attention to what I want to pay attention to, you know. But this is fascinating. I want to play this game again.
And kind of sad. Yeah, well, yeah, thanks for the reminder of how old,
Well, that's why
how out
I
of
wanted
touch
to
I
see.
am.
Oh, man, I kind of had a lot of fun with this one.
It sure is. I thought that was a good one. Yeah.
Everybody, do not read TMZ. That's garbage. But by the way, welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times.
I am so disappointed in myself.
Coming up, we are chatting with Larry Palochik. He is the EVP and Executive Director of a brand new company called Fuel Solutions. It's a new nonprofit created to support the credit union leagues in California, Nevada, Utah. Heck of a guy. Just really, they are on a fun journey. I want you all to listen to that interview coming up. But first, we got to take a break from this week. Check in with Natasha. Hey, Ann.
Hey, Em.
How you doing?
Doing okay. How you doing?
All right. Busy.
All right.
But,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
this is a nice little break in the day again to record. We're recording
It
in the
is.
middle of the week.
It really is, yeah.
So it's kind of breaking up the day for me, which is great.
Okay.
But I do gotta ask, what you been watching?
Yeah, I haven't watched any movies in a while.
Okay.
I have been, of course, true crime marathon, as always. And
Fine.
something
Great.
funny, I'll tell a quick funny story about that before I get to, there's something I did want to bring up that I watched.
Okay.
I was watching, I think it was last Sunday, I was watching a new 2020. And the whole time I'm like, this kind of sounds familiar, like this story, did I see something on this? And I watched the whole thing. It was like an hour and a half.
Mhm.
And then I realized, oh, it was the exact same story that was last week's Dateline.
Oh.
It's like, what the hell? Like, it's
interesting.
they just keep recycling stories. And I was just thinking, well, this shows how much I watch them because they all just blur together.
Right.
The stories.
Dateline's still NBC, right? But 2020
Yeah.
is ABC.
Well, I watched 2020 through Hulu. That's what
Yeah.
it comes up on.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying production company wise, they're different networks.
That's true. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But then they'll seem to come out with the same stories with different versions at the same time, which I don't know.
Those are the people
coordinated or-
reading TMZ.
yeah, right? Those are the people that know a lot more than I do.
Sure.
No, but what I did want to mention that I watched that was really interesting was the 3-part documentary on Netflix about Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
So, quick background. I lived in Louisiana from 2006 to 2007. So I moved there a year after Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
My boyfriend at the time, I'd moved there with him. He was in news broadcasting and TV station work reporting. So he actually moved there right before Katrina, like a year before I arrived. And well, we lived in Lake Charles, that's like about 2-3 hours from New Orleans. So that wasn't hit by Katrina. It was hit by Hurricane Rita, right after. It was like a few weeks or maybe a month after. And so anyway, he reported on that. And that was a big, it was his first job out of college. So it was kind of crazy. But then I went, and when I moved there, I worked for the newspaper. Mm-hmm. So there were still a lot of things that we were hearing, that were like kind of the effects of Katrina. A lot of people moved to Lake Charles that lost their homes and all this stuff. But it was just so fascinating to me watching this documentary. And it just made me think like, wow, back then I was like 23, I think. I did not appreciate just how horrible what actually happened. I was like, wow. I was actually just very depressed. It's a downer. I'll tell you, if you watch it, like it is a downer. It was so depressing. And it was like, how did that happen? Like was anyone held accountable for this? Anyway, it was quite a downer, but anyway, what are your thoughts on?
Yeah. Well, I knew people at the time in the post Katrina, they evacuated to Dallas. Like they found a bus they could get on to get out of New Orleans. They were legit in New Orleans. And then eventually they all kind of moved up to Wisconsin. A lot of people who just kind of escaped. They lost everything. And then they ended up in Wisconsin and, started working up here. Yeah, back then I was working at a company called TDS Telecom and was doing their communications, PR and stuff. And down there was a huge TDS area. And so we were on the clock. We were doing 24-hour shifts of crisis communications, and you're trying to get generators down there for the telephone lines and to keep communications open for the feds that were trying to do
Mm-hmm.
stuff there and for people who need emergencies. So we were dealing with that for weeks.
Mm.
You'd be on 24 hours and then off 24 hours. And it
Wow.
was
Yeah.
rough. It was a crazy time.
Yeah, very crazy. Just the whole, it's basically like a community where
Mm-hmm.
apparently it was like one of the only places where like blacks could become homeowners like easily, and they
Yeah.
built it was their whole life. It was like a whole
Oops.
community, and
Yeah.
wealth passed down with the
Yep.
home and then gone. I
Mm.
mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Terrible.
It was very sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did watch that. If anyone wants to watch it, just so you know, the first two parts are like the story, and then the
Yeah.
third part is more of like it's like a reflection and kind of like like remembering people that were
Uh-huh.
lost. So it's kind of like a third part that's not like it's like almost it's separate documentary.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Cool.
that was a hopefully find something more uplifting for this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get to our interview. Yeah, had a great time meeting Larry Palochik.
Great.
He's also in California. He was actually in Utah when we spoke to him
Mm-hmm.
at their headquarters there. But yeah, he's based in Southern California. He's had a long history with credit unions, so we really enjoyed hearing about his background. He started right out of college at a credit union and was a
Yeah.
CEO, and then now over a decade with the leagues. Talks about his brand new organization, Fuel Solutions, that he's heading up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like you said, a baby organization. It just
Mm-hmm.
launched in July of this year,
Yeah.
and it is basically supporting the three leagues: the Utah, California, and Nevada, that
Mm-hmm.
are connected, aligned, but then independent, and providing support services like education and marketing, branding. So yeah, it was really interesting to hear about that. It was kind of a unique model and setup, and I think he says how it could maybe be replicated by other leagues around the
Mm-hmm.
country, and it's a kind of a good model. So yeah, so it's anyway, just getting started. We're excited to see where it goes. Get to hear all about that. We also get to find out, since he's in Southern California, he lives near the California League's headquarters in Ontario. That is in California's Inland Empire region. And I'm pretty familiar with that as well. It tells us the best Mexican food you could get there, which was hard to pick because there's so much. It's such a big part of the culture. So anyway, I've written down the name of the restaurant I'm planning to check out. You'll have to listen for it. We have all of that coming up next. Joining us in the virtual studio today is Larry Palochik, EVP and Executive Director of Fuel Solutions, which is a part of the California, Nevada, and Utah Credit Union Associations. And Fuel Solutions is based out in Ontario, California. Hey, Larry, welcome to Shared Accounts.
Hey, Natasha, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad you're here. Yeah, so let's get started. So I know Fuel Solutions is a new venture that we just heard about, so we definitely want to get into that. But first, I just want to get some more background on you. This is your first time here on the podcast. So based on our research, just kind of looking at your background, it looks like you actually served as a CEO for two credit unions in Southern California before joining the leagues in 2012. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I actually began my career 30 years ago in the industry, straight out of college.
Nice.
Oh.
Wow.
My first job right out of college was with the credit union in Las Vegas. After 17 years working in the industry, working for three different credit unions, and as you mentioned, I was the CEO of two different credit unions: South Bay Credit Union and Alta Vista Credit Union in Southern California. I was kind of looking for a little bit of a different challenge in the industry, but I love the industry so much, I certainly wanted to stay within it. And so I had been on the board of directors for the California League for several years, and greatly respected the work that the league did. Give its members and the industry an opportunity to grow and thrive. And I thought it was a great opportunity for me to go and help serve hundreds of credit unions instead of just one.
Right, absolutely. Can I ask real quick, I find that so fascinating that your first job out of college was with a credit union. Was that intentional? Like you wanted to go to a credit union, or was it sort of, it just kind of happened and then you fell in love with credit unions once you were there?
It was intentional in regards to financial services. So my degree is in finance. And my last 2 years while I was in college, I actually worked for a savings bank. But in the kind of the final stages, as I was interviewing with different companies, it was a credit union that gave me the opportunity to really leverage both the experience I gained in the bank as well as my degree.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, so then, you've been with the leagues since 2012. Anything else you wanted to add about that transition from being like at the actual credit union, leading a credit union, to then heading over to the leagues? Is there anything else that you'd like to share about that? Kind of why, like what appealed to you about moving over to the league system?
Well, like I said, I think it was more about just the opportunity to literally make a difference for hundreds of credit unions within our states.
Yeah.
And, looking for, like I said, at the time, I think I was looking for a little bit of change, but not looking to change the industry. And I think it was a great alignment that has been wonderful for the last 13 years.
Nice.
So, Larry, kind of walk us through a little bit of over your 13 years. Again, we're just trying to set up because one, we don't have a special gift to give first timers on the pod. I wish we did. So we're just getting to know you in real time here. So this is lovely for us and for our audience. And during your tenure at the leagues there, what would you say has been some of the biggest changes internally at the organizations or among, the credit unions around there that you've had to adjust to?
Well, I think it's a great question. For the most part, I really think that the biggest change over the years has been change itself, and the pace of change that really has been fueled by digital transformations. You see that in how it affects, the products and services that our credit unions offer, how consumers interact with their credit unions. And I think most recently, especially, kind of post pandemic, really even the credit union workplace itself and even ourselves at the leagues and how, we went from, going into the office 5 days a week to, being in a predominantly remote environment and, figuring, out both how to do that, with an organization that's all about connection and collaboration and engagement and kind of, I think it's gone very, very well. And I think that today, we continue to evolve with our credit unions and for our credit unions.
Sure.
Very good.
Yeah, it's a new normal. Well, and what about just internally at the organization as well with the leagues? 'Cause I know we've all been in this industry for a while as well. I'm thinking back to 2012. I was living in LA. I was freelancing for Credit Union Times. I remember interviewing Diana Dykstra when she first got the job as the CEO of the California Nevada Leagues. But yeah, it seems like there's been quite a few changes as well, and then bringing in Utah. So how has that been for you, just like internally at the organization at the leagues with some of the structural and changes?
Well, I think for us, we were kind of built for it. We literally have had a nearly 30-year partnership with the Nevada Credit Union League. Actually, on January 1st this coming year, we'll celebrate a 30-year partnership between California and Nevada, where we have been providing solutions and services and support for the Nevada League for the last 30 years. So when we had this opportunity to further align with Utah, it quite frankly was already in our DNA. We were already used to it, and it just fit so naturally. And the folks that were the legacy Utah, staff, again, just a high alignment with values, and it just made it such an easy transition for, I think, both organizations or all three leagues.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, so that's a good segue to the next question, which is what we brought you on here to talk about, which is fuel solutions. So can you just kind of take us through just from the beginning of, when did conversations around this idea for fuel solutions start? What did that look like? What sparked the idea? What was the idea? Can you kind of take us to the beginning of how that came about?
Sure, absolutely. You mentioned Diana Dykstra earlier. At the time, the California League's former CEO Diana Dykstra, as well as at that time Scott Simpson was, the president and CEO of the Utah Credit Union Association. They were, quite frankly, discussing an alliance for years. Very informally. Just obviously they met a lot, throughout the industry at industry events and so forth, and kind of had informal conversations about what that would really look like and how it would benefit their credit unions. That conversation turned really intentional about 2 years ago, and both of them, as well as bringing in their chairs around the August timeframe of 2023, really started to talk very intentionally about what that would look like. And that led to bringing all three full boards together in December of 2023, where, the conversations really were very open, honest, collaborative, but also, each board wanted to ensure that their league's needs would ultimately be met, with whatever end result partnership, alliance was created.
So can we talk about kind of the description and a bit of the research we've been doing? Fuel solutions is described as, quote, meeting the rising need for collective strength, while preserving the autonomy and identity of each participating association, meaning California, Nevada, Utah. Okay. So can you kind of explain a bit more about the needs of the associations that they're experiencing and how Fuel Solutions is meeting those?
Sure, absolutely. I think, credit unions in California, Nevada, and Utah, they're each obviously working to meet the growing demands of their credit unions. And collectively, every state faces complex legislation, increased regulatory environments, growing expectations for education and support. And I think where Fuel comes in is, we were able to meet the needs and provide the resources, specialized expertise, and scalable solutions without sacrificing that level of independence for each association. We pool resources, we pool expertise across the three states, but each state gets to preserve their independence and voice. The model is designed to deliver scale in compliance support, education, professional development, operational efficiency, while ensuring that each association retains its unique voice, which benefits both them individually, but then also a collective strength.
Can I ask you something about the name?
Yeah.
Why the name? You've been referring to it as Fuel. I'm like, I kind of love this. But, why? Why is it named that?
We look at it as we're fueling the success of our independent associations.
Okay.
It's funny. I mean, when people first hear it, they kind of think of fuel as a noun,
sure.
like gasoline or something. And we could talk about gasoline on models, but no, it really is about that driving engine that fuels the support of our independent associations.
Okay. I appreciate the explanation. That's great.
Right. Yeah, when I first read it, I guess my mind first went to like something related to auto lending or, cars. Then once I read about it, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're providing the fuel for them. You're providing the juice, the support, in other words. So yeah, I think it's a good name too. Yeah, so just like diving more into just Fuel Solutions, like trying to get a picture of what does it look like right now? And one question, aside from just like your activities with Fuel Solutions, but what is it, staff from within, like internal staff that will actually be doing the work, the support work for the other associations as needed? Is it like internal based, I guess, like with the people who are going to be providing that support?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay.
Kind of like look at what do we look like on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Literally, we're less than 90 days from launch. We launched on July 1st, so
right.
Okay.
It looks like a fire hose at this point in time. In a lot of
okay.
Right? But we're obviously working and focused on providing our support services to the three state associations. Typically, each and every week, we're coordinating our shared services such as compliance support, professional development and education programs, marketing communication support, and constantly looking at exploring new ways to gain operational efficiencies. The staff, you mentioned, kind of the staff. So the staff was a mix of both folks from the Utah Credit Union Association as well as the California Credit Union League that were already doing, these duties in these areas, and we removed them from the associations as we formed Fuel, and now they sit in this new company.
Okay, gotcha. And are there any types, and you mentioned like marketing, communication, support, education, any other services that you're really focused on now?
Yeah, I mean, really, education is kind of our main product and service that we provide. There's so much in that. It's not just event support, but it's also electronic education and it's, professional development programs to enhance and grow the expertise of the staff at credit unions. And on the communications and marketing side, the funny thing there is we actually kind of consider ourselves an agency. We have three separate brands, three separate organizations that we're supporting. Each have their own identity, their own voice, and then there's Fuel Solutions. I mean, they really do act as a marketing agency.
Well, let's talk about the differences there that you all are dealing with. And I love the nimbleness that you seem to be expressing about Fuel and the agency, aspect. That does sound like you're able to be a bit more nimble in this environment, but you're tailoring the services to the goals of these associations. How do the goals of California, Nevada, Utah differ from one another?
Yeah. Well, I think overall, all three associations, really share some aspirational, overarching mission of supporting credit unions within their states. However, priorities in local markets, and membership needs certainly may dictate, a customized approach for each of the associations. As an example, California tends to have, not just because of its size, but there is a huge amount of pressure that tends to come from the legislative and regulatory bodies within the state
Yeah.
And so there's a
Mhm.
lot of need around compliance support and supporting the advocacy teams in their endeavors. Whereas in a state like Nevada that only has a part-time legislature, they don't
Mhm.
tend to have as high of at least a statewide focus
Mhm.
in those areas. But they all share very common, goals around education, professional development, and supporting the compliance needs, especially of the smaller and mid-sized credit unions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We look at it as, we're not here to build solutions that the leagues can use. We're here to work with them to customize the services and solutions to make sure that they align with those local priorities while leveraging as many economies of scale and scope as we can across the footprint.
Brilliant.
Right. Yeah, but Michael wasn't I don't know if it was Diana, they said, like, California is its own beast or something like that about that.
Larry, as you're talking, I legit was thinking about Diana and Scott in both together in separate interviews. They have both said just the behemoth that California is and how
Mhm.
exhausting the state
Yeah,
is,
no,
and just how giant it all is there. And they just truly do have a different personality and a different set of priorities.
that's for sure, yeah. It's like
So,
its own country, sort of.
so I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Larry, what we're really saying is you're not alone in thinking this way
Yeah,
and seeing it.
Right.
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that sounds really cool. Yeah. And you're just getting started. So I'm sure it'll evolve as time goes on. Wanted to ask just kind of like more of a big picture, because obviously here at CU Times, we reported on different leagues across the country and kind of look at the whole picture of the league system. And I think this is really unique, what you've created here.
Mhm.
So I'm curious if, this current structure of the California, Nevada, and Utah associations, which is essentially three associations that have an alignment, but they still have the independence, and now being supported by an organization like Fuel Solutions, is that something that you see being replicated by other leagues in other regions of the country, or that's being done elsewhere? Or do you think it really is unique to this region and this group of associations?
Honestly, I think that the model represents, a very forward-thinking approach that others can participate in. We feel that
Hmm.
the model demonstrates that associations do not have to merge to gain economies of scale and efficiency. While
Interesting.
the three leagues do have some geographic kind of regional proximity, honestly, I think we feel that it's not a requirement for success, however.
Huh.
I think if you maintain local governance and identity, you share resource through a central support organization, leagues anywhere really could achieve greater collective impact without sacrificing independence.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so I want to bring you back, Larry, because this happens sometimes, with some of the guests that we do have on. But you just brought up a pretty big issue about the consolidation of the leagues. I
Mhm.
would love to have you back to talk about fuel solutions and then that whole trend, or hopefully a trend that's going to slow down and or stop with the consolidation aspect. I think what you're saying is very, very interesting. And I don't think a lot of people have said out loud that it doesn't necessarily need to happen.
I'd love to do that, and especially get a little feet under us a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It's ultimately why we built what we built. We feel that the industry today has looked to one model, which is the merger model, and we don't necessarily feel that that has to be the only option. We feel that independence means a lot, and we think the credit unions value it a lot.
Oh, I
We're,
love
we're out
that.
we're out to prove that right.
All right. So let's talk a bit about the future goals for Fuel Solutions. What is next for you? I mean, again, you guys are a baby organization right now, just a few months old. And what are you looking at? What's next?
Well, as you said, 90 days in, we're obviously focused on continuing to support our three associations
Yep.
the best we can, as well as expand our services and offering.
Hmm.
This kind of includes, looking at more advanced professional development programs, enhancing our compliance support, driving community and social impact to strengthen the movement, and driving operational support, excellence, and efficiency.
I love it. And please, please, please open your calendar. Let's come back in 4, 5, 6 months and check in again.
Absolutely.
And then on your first birthday. That'd be nice.
That's right. Celebrate our first birthday with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
do want a gift, though. I mean, you got to give me a gift.
I'll have to give you a gift at that point. Yeah. This is just really exciting. I love this topic and the organization you've created. This is exciting to me, and I want to follow you all now. This I love it.
We
That's all I'm
appreciate
saying.
it.
Of
Yeah.
course.
It really shows it's kind of in the spirit of the collaborative and
Heck
supportive
yeah.
nature, of all the credit unions. So we love that.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, Larry. Well, congratulations on this launch. And we look forward to seeing what you all do down the road. But let's go ahead and move on to part 2 of our interview. So this is the fun part because it is going to be all about you.
Not saying that the first part wasn't fun. The first part was very interesting.
I didn't. Yeah, I guess I didn't.
I had a blast.
Just we'll see. We'll see which one ends up being more fun.
I guess it's a coin toss.
Okay, so first, Larry, now I know you say you're currently calling in from Utah today, from the headquarters there. I believe you said you're based in Southern California near the Ontario office of
That's
the
correct.
league. Yeah, so and is it Corona that you're living in?
Yeah, I live in Corona, California.
Corona, yes. Okay, excellent. Okay, so important question. Where can you find the best Mexican food in California's Inland Empire? Hopefully you like Mexican.
You know because you've spent some time there. That's a tough question to answer. There are so many great opportunities of choice. But I will say this: there's this one restaurant up in the Ontario area called Mexico Lindo, and the league staff, the California league staff, has been going there literally for decades. It is one of our mainstays that we go to. We bring new people there, new hires. Almost every new hire lunch, we take them up there just to introduce them.
What's your favorite thing to eat there?
I love their breakfast. I get a machaca and eggs.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yum.
I love a good Mexican breakfast. Anyway, we'll talk about food more later. Question: where did you grow up?
I grew up in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And,
wow.
Right out of college, that's where I started in sort of the industry. My first job, I was a teller at a savings bank, Primerit, that does not exist anymore. It's been merged, multiple times over. But that was my first instance in financial services.
Was that your first paying job?
My first paying job, when I was a young teenager, I worked at a Payless Drug stocking shipments.
Oh, I remember Payless. Yeah.
Well, wait. Do you remember how much you got paid an hour?
Yes. I literally, it was $4.15 an hour.
Oh, my God.
All right. Oh, my gosh.
Amazing. And were you
It was everything. It was absolutely everything.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask one more question. Do you remember interviewing for it, or did you have to?
Funny enough, I didn't have to. My next door neighbor was the manager.
There you go.
And I remember my mom, one day said, "Larry, you need to go over and talk to John and ask him for a job." And I did, and he gave it to me. So it was great.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, I have one more follow-up question to that concerning Vegas. So when you tell someone that you meet that you grew up in Vegas, what's the dumbest question or response that you've gotten when they hear that you grew up there? That's like a misconception or something.
It's an interesting question. I do remember I did a year of college back in Pennsylvania before I came back to Las Vegas. And I remember a lot of people saying, wow, what was it like growing up in Vegas? They just have this imagery like I hung out on the strip.
Like you're on the strip with, in a casino. And
that is literally what everybody that was their first impressions. It's like, no, it's a city like any other.
It really, I agree. Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, I just know Vegas is just such a funny place because it is, it's almost like two different worlds. But it is a city. Just you got to live, normal life like everyone else. Okay, next question. So we've just ended summer, unfortunately, and we're fully into fall. So a lot of people, hopefully took nice vacations over the summer. I want to ask you, what is your favorite destination for like a family vacation? Like if you're going to go on vacation with your family, do you guys have a spot or any place you like?
We like to go to Hawaii.
Nice.
We have a timeshare on Kauai.
Oh, nice.
It's literally one of my favorite places.
Oh yeah. And that's one of the best islands too, isn't it? Because I've only been to Honolulu, but isn't that that's supposed to be one of the best islands?
Yeah, it's the Garden Isle. It's really, really beautiful.
Is that the same island, Larry, that Willie Nelson and Matthew McConaughey have houses?
I don't know. Maybe.
I can't remember. They're like neighbors on one of the islands. They legit play dominoes together every night when they're out there at the same time. Anyway, if you ever see them, say hi.
Will do.
Okay, let's go back to your childhood for a second. What was the first album, CD, cassette, piece of music you ever bought or remember listening to?
I would say listen to, and you didn't throw a record in there, so I got to throw a record.
Whatever,
yeah.
It was late 70s, and my parents had a lot of 60s rock and disco. So I remember putting on like Casey and the Sunshine Band and the Bee Gees like constantly, But I think that probably the first one I ever bought myself was Foreigner.
Oh, Foreigner 4?
Yep, Foreigner 4. 100%. Yep.
Foreigner
Jukebox
4.
Hero, Waiting for a Girl Like You,
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Jukebox Hero.
Well, and this question originally, because this is a standard question for every podcast we do, originally was, what was the first album you ever bought? But then we got people that were too young to really
like,
fully understand that, and they're like,
Don't
well,
buy
I'm not
music
really
anymore, right?
I have the Spotify playlist that I listen to. It's like, okay, you're really young.
Can I tell you something, Larry, really quick? We are probably roughly the same age, right in the same ballpark.
Okay.
I think I've decided on a Halloween party theme that I'm doing this year, and it's Disco is Dead is the theme. Now, I loved disco, but it's a reason to put dead in kind of the theme. But we're going to be playing Casey and the Sunshine Band, ABBA, all sorts of Bee Gees. That's the plan.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Oh, that sounds fun.
I loved Casey and the Sunshine Band back then.
Yeah. So Disco is Dead, not as in the music is actually dead, but like the people in the costumes, they're going to be like murdered disco queens and kings or something. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Perfect. Okay. Final question today, Larry, before we let you go. What was the last movie you watched?
Literally just on the plane, I watched We Are Marshall.
What'd you think?
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Story of a 1970s Marshall football team that tragically all but 3 players and 1 coach died in a plane crash coming back from the away game.
Yep.
Yeah, the story is basically not just rebuilding the team, but kind of rebuilding the spirit of the town.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one.
What'd you think of the movie?
Yeah, I thought it was a great movie. I don't know. I'm a moderate Matthew McConaughey fan. You kind of have to, you kind of take him with a grain of salt sometimes. He can be really outrageous. He was moderately, he was a little bit more subdued in this movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good movie. It was very touching. It was a very
you guys are neighbors in Hawaii now. So
yeah, that's right. Apparently. I'm going to play checkers with him pretty soon.
Great.
Well, that sounds like a slightly more uplifting movie than, because it just reminded me of another one I watched about a year ago, Society of the Snow. That was about the plane crash it was also a sports team. I can't remember what it was. They were from like Latin America. The soccer team, and they crashed in the Andes Mountains, and they didn't all die, and it got very dark because they resorted to cannibalism. So anyways, that's much darker, I think, than this one was.
I like Larry's movie better.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, on that note, Larry Palochik, EVP and Executive Director of Fuel Solutions. This was a lot of fun. So great meeting you, and so exciting hearing kind of what you've been up to so far with this new organization. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is a lot of fun.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Larry.
All right. And to all of our listeners, thank you for downloading today's show. Please subscribe to Shared Accounts with CU Times and all the normal podcast places. And please make sure to share the episodes with everyone you know, friends, coworkers, relatives you like, relatives you don't like. You know the drill.
Willie Nelson, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Feel free to rate us to 5 stars only. I appreciate that very much. As always, thank you so much to our producer, Zach Nyheisel. Thanks, Zach. Join us again next week for a new episode of Shared Accounts with CU Times. Until then, thanks for listening.